Hello everyone, and welcome to RadioCSIRT English Edition, your daily appointment with cybersecurity news. I am Mark Frederick Gomez. Today is Friday, November 13, 2025, episode 485, live from Paris, France. On today's agenda, controversy around Anthropic, Fortinet's silent fix for an actively exploited zero-day, multiple critical flaws in Cisco Unified CCX, Google's legal action against the Chinese SMS phishing triad, a major vulnerability in ASUS routers, new North Korean evasion techniques, and a strategic analysis from CERT FR in the Endgame report. And if you are a new listener, feel free to subscribe to the podcast. We are available on Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, YouTube channel, Deezer, and Spotify. Anthropic, the publisher of the Claude artificial intelligence model, claims to have detected and disrupted a cyber espionage operation conducted by a Chinese group tracked as GTG-1002. According to the company, this campaign, neutralized in mid-September 2025, would represent the first documented case of cyber intrusions conducted largely autonomously by an AI model. These claims have immediately sparked widespread skepticism within the security community. The main points of contention focus on the complete absence of indicators of compromise provided by Anthropic and the company's refusal to respond to requests for technical information. Several security researchers openly accuse Anthropic of fabricating this incident for marketing purposes, describing the report as marketing guff. Cybersecurity researcher Daniel Card notably states that AI remains a powerful assistance tool, but does not constitute autonomous artificial intelligence capable of such operations. According to Anthropic, the attack targeted 30 entities including major technology companies, financial institutions, chemical manufacturers, and government agencies. The company claims the AI autonomously conducted between 80 and 90% of operational phases, with human operators intervening only at critical moments, such as authorizing escalations or validating data for exfiltration. The architecture described by Anthropic relies on the misuse of the Claude code model within a customized framework. The system allegedly used role-playing techniques to bypass the model's built-in safety restrictions, making Claude believe it was performing legitimate authorized security testing tasks. The operation reportedly unfolded in 6 distinct phases: target selection and model manipulation through role-playing, automated reconnaissance of network infrastructures, generation of tailored payloads and vulnerability validation, extraction of authentication data and internal systems mapping, exfiltration of sensitive data and establishment of persistent backdoors, and finally structured documentation of each step to facilitate handoffs between attacker teams. Anthropic specifies that the campaign relied primarily on open-source tools rather than custom malware. The company acknowledges, however, that Claude produced hallucinations, fabricated results, and exaggerated conclusions in some cases. In response to this alleged incident, Anthropic reports having banned the involved accounts, enhanced its detection capabilities, and shared intelligence with partners to develop new detection methods for AI-driven intrusions. The absence of verifiable technical evidence and the commercial context surrounding this announcement maintain substantial doubt about the reality of this incident within the security community. Fortinet confirms it has silently patched a critical zero-day vulnerability in its FortiWeb web application firewall. Now massively exploited in the wild, the company notified its customers by email and published a security bulletin. The flaw was silently patched following reports of unauthenticated attackers exploiting an unknown FortiWeb path traversal vulnerability in early October to create new administrative accounts on internet-exposed FortiWeb devices. The first attacks were identified on October 6 by threat intelligence firm Diffused, which published a proof of concept on X and reported that an unknown Fortinet exploit, possibly a variant of CVE 2022-40684, was being used to send HTTP post requests to the Fortinet endpoint to create local admin-level accounts. Last Thursday, security researchers from Watchtower Labs also demonstrated an exploit and released a tool called FortiWeb Authentication Bypass Artifact Generator to help defenders identify vulnerable devices. This proof of concept, from Diffused, highlighted by Watchtower, circulated widely within the security community. Cybersecurity firm Rapid7 specified that the flaw affects FortiWeb versions 8.0.1 and earlier, confirming that the publicly available proof of concept no longer works after updating to version 8.0.2. Fortinet disclosed today that attackers are actively exploiting a path confusion vulnerability, now tracked as CVE 2025-64446, in FortiWeb's GUI component. This vulnerability allows unauthenticated attackers to execute administrative commands on unpatched systems via crafted HTTP or HTTPS requests. In its security advisory published Friday, Fortinet confirms having observed active exploitation of this 0-day in the wild. The vulnerability was patched in FortiWeb 8.0.2, released on October 28th, 3 weeks after the first report of CVE 2025-64446 exploitation. Affected versions include FortiWeb 8.0.0 through 8.0.1, FortiWeb 7.6.0 through 7.6.4, FortiWeb 7.4.0 through 7.4.9, FortiWeb 7.2.0 through 7.2.11, and FortiWeb 7.0.0 through 7.0.11. The corresponding patches are available in versions 8.0.2, 7.6.5, 7.4.10, 7.2.12, and 7.0.12 respectively. CISA added CVE 2025-64446 to its catalog of actively exploited vulnerabilities on Friday, ordering U.S. federal agencies to patch their systems by November 21st. The Cybersecurity Agency emphasizes that this type of vulnerability is a frequent attack vector for malicious cyber actors and poses significant risks to the federal enterprise administrators who cannot immediately upgrade to FortiWeb. 8.0.2 should disable HTTP and HTTPS for all internet-facing management interfaces and ensure that access is restricted to trusted networks. Fortinet also recommends customers check their configuration and review logs for new unauthorized administrator accounts and other unexpected modifications. According to CyberPress, Cisco has disclosed critical remote code execution vulnerabilities affecting Cisco Unified Contact Center Express, also referenced as CCX, exposing organizations to severe security risks. The security advisory details 2 independent vulnerabilities in the Java Remote Method Invocation, or RMI process, that could allow unauthenticated attackers to gain complete system control, including root-level privileges. These vulnerabilities represent a significant threat to contact center operations worldwide. Attackers can exploit these flaws without authentication or user interaction, making them particularly dangerous in real-world scenarios. The Java RMI process in Cisco Unified CCX, which handles critical communication functions, contains improper authentication mechanisms that create multiple attack vectors. The first vulnerability, tracked as CVE 2025-20354, specifically targets the file upload functionality within the Java RMI process. By uploading specially crafted files, attackers can execute arbitrary commands on the underlying operating system with root-level access, potentially compromising the entire contact center infrastructure. The second vulnerability, tracked as CVE 2025-2358, focuses on authentication bypass in the CCX editor application. Attackers can redirect the authentication flow to malicious servers, creating the illusion of successful authentication and granting them administrative permissions to create and execute scripts. Both vulnerabilities carry CVSS base scores of 9.8 and 9.4 respectively, indicating critical severity levels. The attack vector is network-based, requires no special privileges, and demands no user interaction, a dangerous combination that elevates the urgency for immediate patching. Cisco Unified CCX versions 12.5 SU3 and earlier, as well as version 15.0 and earlier, require immediate attention. Cisco has released fixed software versions 12.5 SU3 ES07 for legacy deployments and 15.0 ES01 for newer installations. Cisco confirms that Unified Contact Center Enterprise, referenced as Unified CCE, and Packaged Contact Center Enterprise, referenced as Packaged CCE, are not affected by these vulnerabilities, providing some relief for organizations using enterprise-grade solutions. No workarounds exist to mitigate these vulnerabilities. Patching is the only solution. Organizations operating vulnerable versions of Cisco Unified CCX should prioritize upgrading to fixed releases immediately. Given the critical nature of contact center systems and the potential for complete compromise through these vulnerabilities, swift remediation should take precedence in security roadmaps. Organizations should review their Cisco Unified CCX deployments immediately and apply patches without delay to prevent potential compromise of critical contact center infrastructure. According to Brian Krebs, Google filed a lawsuit in the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of New York on November 12th against 25 unidentified individuals referenced as John Doe defendants, allegedly involved in operating Lighthouse, a Chinese mobile phishing service that has affected more than 1 million victims across 120 countries. Lighthouse is one of the major phishing-as-a-service operations within the group, known as the smishing triad. This service enables even novices to steal payment card data through SMS campaigns spoofing the U.S. Postal Service, toll road operators, e-commerce sites, financial institutions, and brokerage firms. The fraud mechanism remains identical regardless of the entity being impersonated. After entering payment information, the phishing site automatically attempts to enroll the card in an Apple or Google mobile wallet. The site then asks the victim to enter a one-time code allegedly sent by their bank to verify the transaction. If the victim provides this OTP code, the fraudsters can link the card data to a mobile wallet they control. Researchers indicate that fraudsters typically load several stolen wallets onto each mobile device and wait 7 to 10 days after enrollment before selling the phones or using them for fraud. A silent push report published in May 2025 reveals that domains used by the smishing triad are frequently rotated. With approximately 25,000 phishing domains active during any 8-day period, Google alleges that Lighthouse violates its trademarks by including Google logos on countless phishing websites. The complaint states that Lighthouse offers over 600 phishing website templates for more than 400 entities, and that Google logos appear on at least a quarter of these templates. Google is also pursuing Lighthouse under the RICO Act, claiming that the Lighthouse criminal enterprise encompasses several connected threat actor groups collaborating to design and implement complex criminal schemes. These teams include a developer group providing the software and templates, a data broker group providing target lists, a spammer group providing tools for mass SMS sending, a theft group responsible for monetizing phished information, and an administrative group managing Telegram support channels and recruitment. Ford Merrill from SecAlliance, who has tracked Chinese SMS phishing groups for several years, observes that many Lighthouse customers now use the kit to create fake e-commerce websites promoted on Google and Meta platforms. These sites are paid for with stolen cards and offer the advantage of not requiring message lures to be sent. Merrill notes that these sites have more staying power than traditional phishing sites because they take longer to be flagged for fraud. According to Silent Push, the majority of phishing sites created with these kits reside with two Chinese hosting companies, Tencent, AS132203, and Alibaba, AS45102. Merrill believes Google's legal action could temporarily disrupt Lighthouse operators and facilitate potential criminal prosecution by U.S. federal authorities. He suggests that a default judgment against Lighthouse could theoretically allow Google to compel Alibaba and Tencent to shut down associated domains and IP addresses under threat of inclusion in the legal proceedings. According to Security Affairs, ASUS has patched a critical authentication bypass vulnerability, tracked as CVE 2025-59367, affecting multiple DSL routers from the brand. This flaw has a CVSS score of 9.3 and allows remote, unauthenticated attackers to easily access unpatched devices. The vulnerability impacts the DSL AC51, DSL N16, and DSL AC750 router families. The Taiwanese manufacturer has released firmware version 1.1.2.3_1010 to address this flaw. In its security advisory, ASUS states that a security vulnerability has been identified in certain DSL series routers and recommends updating to the latest firmware to ensure device protection. For unsupported end-of-life models, ASUS recommends using strong, unique passwords for the router and Wi-Fi and disabling all Internet-exposed services, including WAN access, port forwarding, DDNS, VPN server, DMZ, port triggering, and FTP. The company recommends using strong, unique passwords of at least 10 characters, including symbols and numbers for Wi-Fi and router administration, avoiding password reuse, and regularly checking for firmware and security updates. Networking devices such as ASUS routers are a prime target for botnets. In May 2025, Grey Noise researchers warned of the new ASUS botnet that had compromised over 9,000 ASUS routers by installing a persistent SSH backdoor. According to the Hacker News, the North Korean threat actors behind the contagious interview campaign have once again modified their tactics by using JSON storage services to host malicious payloads. In a report published Thursday, NVSO researchers Bart Paris, Steph Claude, and Evstratios Lonsatidis indicate that threat actors have recently resorted to utilizing JSON storage services such as JSON Keeper, JSON Silo, and Endpoint.io to host and deliver malware from Trojanized code projects. The campaign essentially involves approaching prospective targets on professional networking sites like LinkedIn, either under the pretext of conducting a job assessment or collaborating on a project. Victims are instructed to download a demo project hosted on platforms like GitHub, GitLab, or Bitbucket. In a project analyzed by NVSO, it was found that a file named server.config.config.dnv contains a base 64 encoded value masquerading as an API key, but which is in reality a URL to a JSON storage service like JSON Keeper, where the next stage payload is stored in obfuscated format. The payload is a JavaScript malware known as Beavertail, capable of harvesting sensitive data and dropping a Python backdoor called Invisible Ferret. While the functionality of this backdoor has remained largely unchanged since it was first documented by Palo Alto Networks in late 2023, one notable change involves fetching an additional payload dubbed Tsunami Kit from Pastebin. The use of Tsunami Kit as part of the contagious interview campaign was highlighted by ESET in September 2025, with the attacks also dropping Tropidor and Ogdor-T. The Tsunami Kit toolkit is capable of system fingerprinting, data collection, and fetching additional payloads from a hard-coded .onion address currently offline. The researchers conclude that it is clear the actors behind contagious interview are not lagging behind and are trying to cast a very wide net to compromise any software developer that might seem interesting to them, resulting in exfiltration of sensitive data and crypto wallet information. The use of legitimate websites such as JSON Keeper, JSON Silo, and Endpoint.io, along with code repositories like GitLab and GitHub, underlines the actors' motivation and sustained attempts to operate stealthily and blend in with normal traffic. And that's the end of this episode. I hope it provided clear and useful information. You can share your feedback by email at radiocsirt@gmail.com. All open source intelligence sources used for this episode are available on radiocsirt.com, as well as in the episode description. And if you're a new listener, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. See you tomorrow for a new episode. Until then, don't think, just patch. Sending you much love. Bye.